7 habits of people who are always rich, but look poor. If you saw 2 men standing in line at a coffee shop, one wearing a crisp, tailored designer suit with a Rolex flashing on his wrist, and the other wearing a plain gray t-shirt, faded jeans, and a pair of beat-up New Balance sneakers, which one would you assume has a higher net worth? Most of us would pick the suit. It's a human reflex. We've been conditioned by movies, social media, and clever marketing to believe that wealth is loud. We think being rich means driving your wealth, wearing your wealth, and living in a house that screams your tax bracket. But if you talk to actual wealth managers, forensic accountants, or anyone who looks at real bank statements for a living, they will tell you a very different, almost chilling truth. The guy in the designer suit is very often swimming in a sea of high-interest consumer debt, using 80% of his disposable income just to lease the car and pay the mortgage on a house he can barely afford. He doesn't own his lifestyle owns him. Meanwhile, the guy in the gray t-shirt and the old Honda, he's quietly sitting on a $3 million investment portfolio. He doesn't have a single dollar of debt. He has complete financial peace of mind. And if he wanted to, he could buy the flashy guy's entire life in cash tomorrow. But he chooses not to. There is a massive, invisible group of people living among us who are profoundly, permanently wealthy, but they look completely ordinary. They don't play the status game because they've realized something most people never figure out. The easiest way to look rich is to spend everything you have. But the only way to be rich is to keep it. They live by a completely different set of rules. Today, we are going to look at the 7 quiet, counterintuitive habits of people who are always rich, but look poor, and how you can use these exact habits to build a financial fortress that nobody can see, but nothing can destroy. Habit 1, the invisible upgrade. Let's start with habit number 1, the invisible upgrade. When the average person gets a $10,000 raise at work, their brain immediately goes into consumption mode. They think, great, now I can finally afford that $600 a month car payment, or now I can upgrade to the luxury apartment complex down the street. This is a psychological trap known as lifestyle creep, and it is the single biggest killer of wealth in the modern world. Secretly wealthy people handle raises completely differently. When their income goes up, their lifestyle remains entirely invisible to the outside world. They do upgrade their lives, but they upgrade things that do not show. Instead of buying a flashier car to impress their neighbors, they upgrade their financial runway. They take that extra $10,000 and funnel it directly into their brokerage account or use it to max out their retirement funds. To the outside world, nothing changed. They still drive the same car, wear the same clothes, and live in the same house. But behind the scenes, their financial security just skyrocketed. They understand a fundamental law of wealth. Money spent on showing off is gone forever, but money hidden in investments works for you 24 hours a day. If you want to be genuinely wealthy, you have to disconnect your spending from your earning. The next time you get a raise, a bonus, or a tax refund, don't buy something the world can see. Buy your freedom, which is something only you can see. Habit 2, the wealthy friction strategy. Habit number 2 is all about controlling the environment around your money, engineering friction. We live in an economy designed to separate you from your cash as fast as humanly possible. With features like Apple Pay, Amazon one-click ordering, and buy now, pay later buttons, you can spend an entire week's wages in under 4 seconds without ever feeling the physical pain of parting with cash. Modern marketing has completely removed the friction from spending. The quietly wealthy recognize this trap, so they deliberately build walls of friction back into their lives to protect their money from their own impulses. They don't leave their credit card details saved on retail websites. They delete shopping apps from their phones. Many of them practice a strict 48-hour rule. If they see a non-essential item they want to buy, they force themselves to wait 2 full days before hitting the purchase button. 9 times out of 10, by the time those 48 hours are up, the emotional high of the impulse has faded, and they realize they didn't actually need or even want the item in the first place. But they don't just create friction for spending. They do the exact opposite for saving. They make saving completely effortless by automating it. On the exact day their paycheck hits their account, A predetermined percentage is automatically transferred into their investment accounts before they ever have a chance to touch it or see it as spendable money. They live on whatever is left over. If you want to build real wealth, stop relying on pure willpower. Willpower fails when you are tired, stressed, or bored. Instead, build a system. Make spending difficult and make saving automatic. Habit 3. Calculating value in hours worked. Habit number 3 changes the way you look at a price tag forever. They calculate value in hours worked, not dollars spent. When a broke or middle-class person looks at a $200 pair of shoes, they look at their bank balance and think, "Do I have $200 in my account? Yes. Okay, I can afford it." But a quietly wealthy person looks at that same pair of shoes and translates the dollar amount into their most valuable, non-renewable resource, their time. Let's say you make $25 an hour after taxes. When you buy a $200 item, you aren't just giving away 2 bills from your wallet. You are giving away 8 hours of your life. You are trading an entire, exhausting day of standing on your feet, dealing with stress, and sitting in traffic just to put a specific brand of leather on your feet. When you start viewing the world through the lens of time exchange, your relationship with spending shifts dramatically. You look at a $1,200 phone upgrade and think, is this slightly better screen worth 48 hours of my labor? Is it worth a full week of my life? People who look poor but are actually rich value their time above all else. They realize that every time they pass on a useless consumer purchase, they are keeping a piece of their life for themselves. They accumulate money because they refuse to cheapen the value of their own hard work. Habit 4. Treating major assets like utilities. This brings us to habit number 4, which relates to the 2 biggest expenses most families face: housing and transportation. The quietly wealthy treat major assets like utilities, not status symbols. To the average consumer, a car is an extension of their identity. It's a statement to their coworkers and peers that says, "Look at me, I am successful." Because of this emotional attachment, the average car payment in America right now has climbed past $700 a month. People are literally working multiple days every single month just to pay for a metal box that depreciates the second they drive it off the lot. But to a person focused on actual wealth, a car is just a utility. It has one mechanical job: to safely transport their body from point A to point B without breaking down. They don't care if the paint is a little faded or if it doesn't have the absolute latest ambient dashboard lighting. They buy reliable, highly rated vehicles, often used, and they drive them until the wheels practically fall off. Think about the math here. If you avoid a $700 monthly car payment for 10 years and invest that exact amount into a standard index fund yielding an average of 8%, you don't just save money. You build a nest egg of over $120,000. The quietly wealthy are entirely willing to let their peers drive flashier cars today so that they can have total financial dominance tomorrow. They apply this exact same logic to their homes, buying spaces that fit their actual functional needs rather than maximizing their budget to impress people they don't even like. Habit 5. Total immunity to contentment marketing. Habit number 5 is a superpower in the modern world: total immunity to contentment marketing. Billions of dollars are spent every single year by advertising agencies with one explicit goal: to make you feel deeply dissatisfied with your current life. They want you to look at your perfectly good television, your perfectly functional wardrobe, and your perfectly happy home and feel like you are falling behind. They sell you a lifestyle illusion that says, if you buy this product, you will finally be complete. Most people fall victim to this constant psychological bombardment. They enter an endless cycle of buying stuff to fix an internal feeling of inadequacy. But people who are always rich have developed a natural shield against this. They understand that the urge to buy status symbols almost always comes from a place of emotional insecurity. They don't need a luxury logo on their chest to feel important, because their confidence doesn't come from what they wear. It comes from what they own. When your bank account is full, your emergency fund is locked down, and your financial future is completely secure, the urge to prove your success to total strangers completely vanishes. You don't need to wear a $5,000 watch to feel powerful when your investment portfolio is quietly generating thousands of dollars a month in passive income. True financial strength is silent. Insecurity is loud. Habit 6. The cost per use mastery. 6 is a masterclass in spending efficiency, Mastery of the cost-per-use metric. People who stay rich don't necessarily refuse to spend money. In fact, they can be incredibly generous spenders, but only on things that provide compounding value over time. They look at purchases through a mathematical lens called cost per use. A broke mindset looks only at the upfront price tag. They see a cheap $20 pair of shoes and think it's a bargain. But those shoes fall apart in 3 months, forcing them to buy another pair and another pair indefinitely. A wealthy mindset looks at the long game. They would gladly pay $200 for a high-quality, beautifully crafted pair of boots if they know those boots can be resold, repaired, and worn for a decade. Over 10 years, the expensive item actually costs them significantly less per day than the cheap item. They apply this rule to everything: their tools, their mattresses, their computers, and their health. They invest heavily in things that sit between them and the ground, and things that directly impact their productivity or longevity. But they refuse to spend even $5 on temporary, low-quality, high-status junk that ends up in a garage sale 2 years later. They don't buy cheap, they buy smart. Habit 7. They value optionality over possessions. Finally, habit number 7 is the ultimate goal of the entire philosophy. They value optionality over possessions. If you ask the average person what wealth means to them, they will list physical things: a yacht, a penthouse, a collection of sports cars. But if you ask a quietly wealthy person what wealth means, they will answer with a single word: freedom. Every time you buy a luxury item on credit or stretch your budget to the absolute limit, you are buying a set of golden handcuffs. You are locking yourself into your current job, your current salary, and your current stress level because you must generate income just to service the debt on the stuff you already bought. You lose your options. But when you choose to live deliberately beneath your means, when you choose to look ordinary but live wealthy, you are buying the ultimate luxury item: optionality. Optionality is the ability to walk away from a toxic boss or a soul-crushing job without worrying about how you're going to pay rent next month. It's the ability to take 6 months off to care for a sick family member, or to pivot your career entirely to follow a passion project without needing to ask permission from anyone. The guy in the gray t-shirt driving the old Honda isn't missing out on life. He has simply realized that the feeling of total freedom on a Tuesday morning is infinitely better than the fleeting high of driving a luxury car into an office you hate every single day. At the end of the day, building wealth isn't a math problem. It's a psychology problem. It requires you to make a choice about which apartment you want to live in, which car you want to drive, and ultimately, whose opinion you care about. You can spend your life trying to look rich to impress people who aren't even paying attention, or you can quietly build actual, permanent wealth that buys you your time, your sanity, and your absolute freedom. If you are ready to stop playing the status game and start building a real financial moat around your life, hit the like button on this video so the algorithm can share this message with more people who need to hear it. And if you want to join a community of people who are quietly mastering their money and building real freedom, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We put out deep dive, practical finance strategies just like this every single week to help you in the long game. Let me know in the comments section below, which of these 7 habits are you going to implement in your life starting today? I read and reply to as many comments as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the very next video.